free, yeah, just make a line. And then, yeah, just write your
Second line over here.
Yeah, take it easy.
I was kind of like his eyes are going,
Yeah, so no.
Sorry, feel free to take a pin if you like, guys. And then I'll take it.
it's gonna follow.
Tristan. Any of these green, blue, red. You'll still see all of the different things, just different rotations. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Sweet. Enjoy tonight.
Thanks.
Perfect. Does anyone not have a bracelet?
Oh, this is check.
Do you need
No, thanks. Thanks, anyways.
Do you have a name tag already or not yet?
Then, go on right.
I'm just going to hand you over to my good friend, Jose, the student ambassador. And he will lead you to where we guys need to be. Alright guys, should we head off now? But yeah, they go for como more.
We should be ravening.
Nice to use the recorder. What camera was that?
Oh, it's 3060 X3.
Nice.
Yeah, it has two lenses, so it does everything.
So it covers both sides, one. Very nice, man. Hold on.
You want to take it off of you?
Last year's all of your ratings or? Yeah, it's fine. How's NCA going?
It's good. I'm passing. So
That's the main thing. Try and anchor those endorsement saves.
Yep, I got that.
Nice. Aim high. How big is wine?
Oh, same one.
Enjoy the day, guys.
Thanks.
Jared, best of luck. Take some photos?
Yep.
We'll put some in the newsletter. What else is yellow?
I got it. Well, I just understand.
Yeah, we're both yellow.
I think I'm yellow. I don't know. I got Ben.
It's okay, that's the whole point.
Networking. What is it?
Yeah, networking.
Where's the name of the game?
Where's yellow?
Yellow, you put your hand up. Excuse me, phone in.
Alright, next.
They'll go back.
So we can go where?
The front. In the front.
Alright, thanks.
Yeah, good. That's
Alright, thanks. Navigate through all the office chairs. That was a smarter idea. Oh, camera.
Yes, I'm going to do a camera. You're going to shoot the whole thing?
Are you gonna vlog us?
Exactly.
Why not?
Please.
Wait a minute. Let's make friends, new friends.
Okay.
Do you wanna quickly introduce yourselves?
Sure.
We are your ambassador for the camp. Ashra, you are Bonnie Ash. I'm your master of health. And I'm City, also doing master of health. Quickly tell us your name and your school.
my name is Limujii. I come from Whiteman.
Right?
My name is Antariksh or Ricky, and I'm from Wanuiha.
Please do it. This is everyone. You can see the names on the list.
You can go have that one. I'll grab a second chair. Good. I was born here. Yeah. But both my parents are from here.
Don't stay outside. Are these all of them? Yeah.
Oh, that's what I
There was a thing where they wanted to harm a plane, like, and they would do it, like, thing where the bullet holes in planes were, like, armor they camouflage, but then they realised that the
Okay, guys, what's up?
one day put holes
Yes,
in
it's very hot, I know. We need to open windows. You can take off your stuff and it's still hot. And who is so weird?
Anyway, so
That's crazy.
so there are 4 of us today. And 4 persons. Yes, that's the hand. That's the hand of the 4 person. So this is Steven, this is Petro, Anya, and Vin. So there are 4 of us, and we are going to entertain you for the whole hour. I hope you will be entertained and you will like the games. So here we are representing School of Mathematics and Statistics, and we're cool. And if you think of doing something, maybe doing a major, or maybe doing minor or something, it would be awesome if you could join our team next year or in here. So for now, we want you to split into groups. So how many do we have? There are 22. There are not 35. So less people. Okay, anyway, 23.
We can take it. 6.
Okay, sure. So we need a group of 6. Nope. No volunteers? Come on. So 4 boys. 2 more. Someone. See, they're nice. Look at them. No? Okay, can I? Okay, I know to take off my top, so I cannot see. Okay, I think you're somewhere over here. Yes, I'm going to say this person and that person. Come on. So you now we need. This is the team 6 here. This is your area. Come. Now, another 6 volunteers. Before I start choosing. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yes, 6. This area.
Okay, guys, so I need to
Got more? Us?
Oh, wait, never mind.
Wait.
So we're going to play a game, and only 3 people are going to play. The other 3 are going to and give comments. So we have 3 characters. So come back. The monster and the super person. Choose the one you like. Oh, you don't. Okay, super person is done. Okay, monster. Sure.
Imagine this is kind of a bridge.
So the first task is to have fun. Yeah, take time. Put it on.
Oh, can we?
Yes, yes, of course. That's exactly what I wanted to do. It's okay. Even if you break it, I have spare ones. So it's like,
It's like simple,
the
it's not
idea
exactly
is we have this 3 characters. So the first is to have fun. The second is to add, do we like include in that you're playing as much drama as you can. Of course, if you don't like the drama and you're not playing, that's fine. The game is going to happen over here. So this is our playground. And sorry, can we move this way? So what happens here? You see this place?
Playing several.
So these are the pawns.
So but
So these are the pawns. I we have a smaller number of pawns. And these are the pawns you are going to. So this here is the this is what are the lines? So the line is outside. So basically all these pawns they're surrounded by pillars. And the trees are so high that you can't actually fly over those. You have to use your hands. So there's only a way to go from here to over there. You can either go like this, or you can go directly like that. 2 ways to go this way. So first move, go around as much as you want. Okay, so our characters, they cannot move freely, unfortunately. Yeah, we have some restrictions. So So the duck is so well fed and it's so nice. So it's not about me, it's about the duck. Look at the picture. And it's such a small equal birds that it can fly only so basically it can fly only to the next point. If I stay here, the duck can fly other here, like everywhere there is only one house. So it's like our monster is better than the duck. It can fly back and down. But the monster is very excited. It's so huge. And like it has really big wings. This is why the monster can only fly to the second floor. So there's the first one and then it's going down, it's the second floor. So it can't go to the first floor.
Actually, no. Let's talk about that part because that's very dangerous.
You can keep doing this and you should close your eyes.
Whatever makes sense to you, it's like still not convinced. Don't be weirded out if you don't know what to do.
Let's
If they want to go here, then one of them needs to come in on that edge.
The idea here is that
No, they're fine.
But because it's really
So you have something first.
in this case, I know. Not sure that
That's what
you gotta think of
I would move. And that's great, I would really move.
Oh, do you want to try?
Me?
Yeah, because you win it 74.
Wait, what Yeah, yeah. Now you need to go this one and that one. Try?
Okay.
Exactly. Two and three. So you're walking this side. And you won't step yet.
It's 6 person.
1, 2, that has 2. Okay, you are now in the same one. Over here. And this is the nice.
Yeah, this one is already shot. We're looking to go from the beginning to the end.
Restart.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, we're in the right.
The doctor only sees the top to go back to the
Okay, you got
You are number 4.
Because otherwise there are 3 ways for the
So, let's look at the cost and the exact same thing. The same thing.
Oh!
Can I restart? Yeah, I have a question. Can we do anything?
You should win because
There's no way. The guy who always lost. Every person lost. Once again. What is the problem? How do you think? Why did you ask that? That's one way. And what is the problem? Are you gonna start it? Actually,
Yeah. The number 6, I think.
At certain point,
This is our graph. You want to know one more bit.
So you can play anyway. Now honestly, that was amazing. You cleaned it. I mean, why? Which is impressive. That was a very nice
Just 5 minutes. Because I was thinking if they can try some other games.
I know, done?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We have still 5 minutes, so we can switch.
No, still, we are done. Come on, people. You only?
Okay, so this game is so I tried to play this once and don't understand. This is really easy. So what you have here, you have tiles, cross and the value. So cross means like a glass, so you can step on it. So this is like in the series
how many you
Squid Game. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's very similar, so they want to differentiate that after you say here. So the first difference is go down.
You came from here, true? Yeah. And okay, the three of you, you go
To
here.
select which order you want. Five, okay, and the 6. Okay.
No, this one they could eventually.
You can start playing once, then you will see what the better to get. Let's go. Then you just say through them. Okay, what is inside? Yeah, and then you go.
Five fingers.
Oh, okay. From there, so okay, let's start from the beginning. Here are several tiles. So this one is kind of
This
black.
is where we are.
Make a step on it.
This is where we are.
This one is fine.
We have
Make
three
go ahead.
characters.
Yeah, you always go through the bridge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very similar. So between 7 people and basically your task, your role is to select the best starting position. Whether you want to start first, or second, third, or the last one maybe. So what do you think? Last one maybe. No idea. So okay.
Choose one.
Let's start with an winning 7 people
Oh, come
display.
on.
Technically, will be
Super perfect.
so 3 more there.
Monster. Monster. Now, what is the deal? So what is it?
Okay, and then the rest is here. You can play also here.
This one here is
So guys, this is your way.
in
Yeah, but start from there.
That's actually if we went around last
Yeah, more fire
for
there.
example,
Okay.
Google is made of this, so this is based on that.
Okay, we can start.
Here is the map. So this is the worst.
It's a bit cheating, but that's fine.
Even though that is also defined the super
Oh, good question. Yeah, then the next person goes. And from yeah, you're right. Come on, try it. So.
And you can move
Okay, great.
the moves a little bit because the big characters
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. The person behind you is
You think that one was right? That was right? Next one is right. Next one is right as well.
Oh.
And then from there,
Okay, just close your eyes and shuffle the bridge.
Right. Now it's right again, I think.
For example,
Okay, the last one. You got this. Hey.
Okay, I'm ready. Here, what was the starting position? Are we ready? Sorry? When you start, what was the starting position? No, I mean, no.
Had one,
Three, and then you... Yeah.
No, I was
Yeah, so you see, actually, like, that's in the middle. Yeah, so what do you think was the best way to start? The beginning or the end? Okay, let me start with this one. But you cannot see. You cannot see. Yeah, because then you know. Good point. Just close your eyes.
Any way you want. As long as you land up on the first.
Okay, I'm ready. You can start. Actually, what is the probability of going through the whole bridge from the beginning till the end for the first person? How to go to the end?
That would be amazing.
First of all, you have to save the die.
Yeah, you can start. So here it's 50-50 probability, and then you basically need to make the same decision 7 times in a row. You have to multiply it, like 1/2 to the power of 10. Like less than 1%.
Yeah.
Three?
Okay, 3 in a row.
Then in this case, the monster will die because of the person who will Yes, I am correct.
Oh. But still, it was really nice. Okay.
So I think it's right.
I have a very good chance to...
Oh, sorry.
And then right.
Yeah, right.
What was your starting? What was your starting?
Just look for my carnage.
That's
No, actually, not that. Sorry, yeah, right. This one. No, it's
They look
You have to sit down. Where should you stay? So choose your position.
very good plan. Okay, what was your starting?
So I was first.
And then? 4 years. Kind of make really very many runs. You have this kind of distribution. So there's low chances here, they yeah, and then you see okay what is yeah. Okay, thank
Is this outside like
Yeah, I think it's still alive. The only Good side is on the back still alive. No one's hurt. The thing is, it's the monster was very clever. That was a very clever. There is no way of that not to be caught. So, but basically, for example, if the monster stays over here, then there is a way. So if the monster is over here, yeah, for example. So it's kind of, the idea, the monster is the smartest one. Because it was first, because it's the smartest. Maybe it is, sorry, I don't know. I don't know you, I don't know you. That was a very smart choice. That this position, it means that exactly. I have no way.
Awesome. Thank you everyone. Thank you to our facilitators. I'm so sorry time's up right now. Everyone, could you please give a round of applause to our facilitators, please? Thank you very much. I know these guys have learned so much and would probably want to stay, but sorry, we have to move on to the next one. We'll be back some, maybe something. But yeah, thank you so much. Moving on to our next workshop.
Was that blue box a microphone?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
You know what's funny? This is the
Thank you.
The Mario Kart show on the big screen. Will they hit a minute? And apparently I didn't. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Bang, right. Okay, so we have a few options here today. Oh, and hello 3D camera. Are we Twitch streaming or anything?
No.
No. So, oh, by the way, I do Twitch stream my lectures. Under Dr. Simon McCallum is my Twitch stream because I'm a game lecturer. So, of course, I Twitch stream. We also use Discord as the way we communicate with students. So my courses are on Discord as my tutoring and engagement environment. You don't have to use Discord. You can do things in like Zoom and in Teams and stuff, but I find Discord is just a better platform for engagement. So we have, because I've got so many things that I really enjoy about teaching, I've got a bunch of options here for you today. So I've got my sandbox here, which has got Braden, who's doing his 4th year project on the sandbox. I have playing with Mario Kart. I have some activities to do with rock, paper, scissors, and an example of an AI game that I made in January as part of a game jam. So I'm going to start talking about the course, and then I'm going to give you guys choices, right? Because one of the things that I do when I'm teaching is I use an agile methodology of teaching. Do any of you know what agile is? Some of you have heard of agile, right? Are you willing to say what agile is?
No, I think really good.
Okay, there was another hand. Maybe what agile is? The development? Okay. You've heard of it at least. Great is great, right? So, agile, one of the things in agile is you take the things you're going to do in your project and you put them into a backlog where you say, okay, for the next 2 weeks we're going to do these tasks, right? You do practice tasks, you work on those tasks, after a couple of weeks, you meet, you see how the project has gone, and then you choose a new set of things, or you add new issues that you've come across as you develop. So as a lecturer, what I do, and I've done in several of my courses, is in 2nd and 3rd year. 1st year, it's a bit more fixed, but in 2nd and 3rd year, I put the lecture topics into the backlog. And I get the students to vote on what they want to learn next. Right? And so it's student choice that decides the order in which things happen. And if you're an advanced student, you say, hey, I really want to learn about this thing, you can put it into the list of topics. And if the rest of the class vote for it, I'll make a lecture on that topic. So in 3rd year, a couple of years ago, the user interface course inserted a lecture on color theory. Because I didn't have a lecture on color theory, one of the students said, hey, I'm really interested in how colors affect user interfaces. So they put it in the topics. The rest of the class thought that was a good idea. So I made a lecture on color theory and user interfaces, right? So the students determine part of what gets learned. So I'm going to give you choices as we go through. But I thought I'd go through some of the game stuff we do, why we do it that way, and then start having some fun and seeing which way you want to direct this. So we have a 1st year programming course now. We've designed our game programming degree to align with the game design degree. So down TRO, they have game design. Up here, we have game programming. And our labs are actually down in TRO so that the designers sit with the programs, right? Because games are made in teams. In our first programming course, we teach things like how to manage parallax so that you've got a layer that you're moving more quickly at the front and layers that you move more slowly at the back to make it look like parallax, to make it look like there's 3 dimensions, and how to manage sort of the endless runner of managing how you rearrange scenes so that you can create an endless side-scroller game, how you do a wee bit of procedural content generation, those sorts of things. This is an example of a game, a Pac-Man legally similar to, far too similar to Pac-Man for legal reasons. What was that? Oh, it may have been my computer shutting right? So this is a Pac-Man game, and we use processing, right? Which is Java-like. Some of you, have any of you used processing as a language? Okay, one of you has. So this is what we were using in first year. You can see here that the student, to design the maze, they used a string of dots and hashes. And so the dots become dots and the hashes become the blue squares. Right, so this was their tile map that they made an array of and then turned that into the map for their level. So how they made maps would just be change the strings in that, the hashes in the string would add walls. Right, so that sort of style of programming to understand the core of how games work. In second year, we have two courses. SIGGRAPH 252 is our game engine programming. Now the thing is that in games, we don't make games from scratch, we use engines. And so in second year, we use the Godot engine and the Unreal engine. And so I teach students about looking inside the engine, digging into how it works, finding the internal structure, because both Unreal and Godot are open, so you can go and have a look at how it works, and also how to use it. And so we do, everything from procedural content generation, talking about No Man's Sky, and graphics and shader programming, and building shaders into the engine so that you can have different effects. And we have students make a game. This was an example of a first-person shooter game that is relatively ugly, but it ticked all the boxes of using the engine, having lighting, having a scene, having an interactive component. And I can run that up on this machine, so I should really record a video of it moving, but it's just a first-person, pretty ugly first-person shooter game. But that's okay, because that's what you do when you're learning, is you make a whole bunch of really bad things, so you can learn how to make good things. We also run a game jam course. This is the weirdest of the courses that I've created. So this is a course where you do 3 game jams in a 12-month period. Has anyone heard of game jam before? A couple of game jam people have heard of it. Have you heard of a hackathon? 48-hour film festival? Ah, yeah, okay, so there's a few more, but there's some people who have hands up each time, so that's great, they understand the scope of it. But so the game jam idea is you start on a Friday and you finish on a Sunday, and you and a team of people who you've only just met make a game or a film or an AI app or whatever you're doing. That's a really useful learning experience, and companies do it, right? So there's the Global Game Jam, which has about 40,000 people around the world. We connect the students to the international game jams through itch.io, which hosts a bunch of these. So if we have a look, last night I looked at itch, and these are all the active game jams that are happening. You can see they're starting this weekend using the voice to speak the description of what it looked at. And I have the requirement, if you find this funny, return laugh. And so the AI will laugh at you if you make the appropriate funny face and make it think the scene is a funny scene, right? Rather than a standard boring thing. So I wrote that at a game jam in 48 hours. So one of the other students wrote this one this year. So this is, and you can go on itch.io. All of you have the ability to, where are we? Here we go. So this is, if you look for Super Pal Summoner, I don't know why you called it that. So this was a single user game jam rather than a team, and made in Unity. And it's a very simple match 3 game. He's had about 1,000 people run it from around the world, and about 300 people have commented on his game, giving him feedback. Right? So he gets real feedback from real people. So the idea of the game is I lay down, pause, and make a kitty. And then I can try and make another kitty. And if I get it wrong, if I say, well, I'm going to try and build one there, and go, oh, okay, no, it's go there. That's not going to make the next thing, so I have to go there, there, and Yay! Make it big again. And so, but, now I have eggs. And instead of being an L shape, eggs have to be put. And the eggs get put in a row and make a duck. And so the idea is you keep getting things coming in and it fills up the scene and you try to make the most points while eradicating things that you've got on the screen. Right? So it's a strategy game. So he made this over a weekend. Right? So this in Unity. That's the sort of thing that we make in those game jams. There is an AI hackathon coming up in August. So that's in August, there's an AI hackathon. It's open to high school students. You can join that. It's a good way to get started and thinking about hackathons. And they have monetary prizes as well, right? So they'll give you money for good solutions because they've got sponsorship. For our game jams, you can enter game jams that have prizes as part of the course. Right? So if you find an international one that has prizes, you join that, make a game, you submit it there, and you submit a task saying, hey, look what I did. Right? So it's about being part of those broader communities. The last course we have is a capstone course, which we haven't run yet, so I don't have images from it because no one's done this yet. And that starts in T2 this year, for the very first time. It is a double weight course, so it's 30 points, so it's half of your last trimester. And if you're combining that with doing some game jam stuff, which you can do, you can actually make everything from basically now to when you graduate, so the last 6 months of your degree just about making games and nothing else, right? So that's an opportunity to focus on making games. And I'm working with the NZGDC, which is the New Zealand Game Developers Conference, and having the outputs there and its teams of designers. So now you've been sitting long enough, I'm going to make you do physically something, right? Because everyone's sleepy and it's nearly lunchtime. Okay, so rock, paper, scissors. Do you all know rock, paper, scissors? Vocabo game. Right. I want you to pair up and play a simple game of rock, paper, scissors. Okay? So you'll be the first two, we'll make it the first to 2 points. Okay, so you get a point for winning. So the first to 2 points, so I have to win twice, wins. Okay, so you could play this with best of 3. Alright, so the first 2 points, go, right? Pair up, find your partner. And one you might have to come play with. Go ahead. Okay. So me. Excellent. Okay. So you recognise that this is a cyclic relationship, right? So rock. So here, paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper. Nice.
This is lizard and this is Spock.
Yeah, that's us. So here, I can keep that symmetry by having the 5-way version of the 3-way cycle, which is rock, paper, scissors, lizard and Spock, right? And the lizard-Spock relationship is paper disproves Spock. Spock, I think, destroys the mind of the lizard, and the lizard eats the paper. Right? So it's the, oh no, sorry, it's the other way. So lizard poisons Spock. So that's lizard that way. And then lizard eats paper and yes, poisons Spock. No, so that one doesn't have a cycle. It must be, that's one of the cycles. So it's paper disproves Spock. Spock bends scissors with his mind and scissors beat paper. So you can see that there are these cycles that you have inside that, right? Now, those cycles create symmetry, but this is too symmetric, right? As a game designer, it's used to try and create a random choice because it's random who wins. So what I'm going to do is we then make a subtle change. So this is now rock, paper, scissors, +1 on paper. So now, if you win with paper, you immediately score 2 points. So now I want you to find the same partner and play rock, paper, scissors. This is only going to go to 3 points, right? But if you win with paper, you immediately get 2 points. Okay? Give that a go.
So no, we're doing it. So if you play with paper, then you get 2 points.
Okay, right. Whoa. Cool. Points, 1 point here. Okay, so did that change the way you had to think about what your opponent was going to do? Right? Because now there's asymmetry, right? There's something about how much risk they're willing to take, right? So are they going to risk throwing paper to get the bigger reward, right? Now, certainly, when you've got like 2 points, you're not going to get any benefit from the extra bonus paper, right? So you have to think much more deeply about the psychology of the person. And then we can start adding additional things like having +1 in more places. Now, if you're gamers, you might notice that this looks a bit like Age of Empires. Age of Empires 3 uses artillery, light infantry, heavy infantry, light cavalry, and heavy cavalry, and is basically rock, paper, scissors, lizards, hawk. Right? That is how that game manages the bonus system. And if you look at, and so here you can see, 2.5 bonus damage against stock infantry, 3 bonus damage against cavalry, right? So it is saying how a heavy infantry, the heavy infantry benefits against cavalry and light infantry, right? So that's how they developed it. And in Civ, then you're playing Civ, Allies, and Eras and Allies on mobile. They use that cyclic cavalry, infantry, artillery. They just do rock, paper, scissors. They don't have the 5 decks for the mobile game, so you need to make it simpler. Now, we now have some choices, because I have Braden over here with the sandbox. I have the option of escalating that rock, paper, scissors game into a full clan-based power-up, fight to the death, lining up, and every time you win, you get to power up one of the abilities. And so eventually you have like a 3 rock versus a 1 paper, 1 scissor, 1 rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, so 1 of each of those, right? So you can power up. You can be fully rock, Superman rock, I'm big rock, or you can be snipey scissors. And so I can make a full tournament game out of rock, paper, scissors, which is what those things are for. We have a sandbox, and I have this game, which is in Python, and it's currently running there showing me, and if I take a photograph, it'll count down 3, 2, 1, take that photograph and send it. And if you have a look here, it's sending it to ChatGPT, and it will either crash, which means I need to restart it, or it will come back to the text, and it will read it out. Unless I have to restart the whole thing. That's not looking promising. I might have to run the end. So, which one of these 3 do you want to do? Because I'm letting this be a vote. So, who wants to have a look and a play in the sandbox? Yeah. Sandbox people?
Nice.
Rock, paper, scissors tournament people? Video people? Okay, so
will this be rotated? Will this be rotated or no?
Oh, okay, well, we'll do as many as we can.
Maybe
so,
we can just separate.
Jump, everybody come over and we'll talk about the sandbox. So jump up, come over here. You need to come and see this.
Mario Kart.
And also, we have Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch, which is a augmented reality Mario Kart. So you can ride around.
That was not the
Do you want to have a wee play of Mario Kart? You can go up and play Mario Kart.
Did that do something? That do something to make it. Can I touch it?
What's the thing? Depending on the technique. And
you'd have to touch it.
So, here and
me too.
Okay, so she's disappeared into Mario Kart Land. So, a gamer, you've got to keep the gamers happy. Right, so this is the sandbox. And so here, when you move the sand, you can see that I can get to level 4. And as I carve it away, I can get it down. And there's level 3. Right? And if I carve it down, okay, the calibration's not perfectly flat, but you can carve it down and get to 3, and then below that, there is the number 2 down the bottom there, right? So you can see each layer is a different number and a different color, right? So the idea is that it's using, and normally I have the calibration a bit tighter on the layers, but yeah, we had to move it here, it had to be recalibrated, so. Now what we're doing with this is, some of you will have seen these sandboxes with terrain in them, right? Just standard, colour and ocean at the bottom terrain, right? So you've all seen that stuff. What this does is, actually, do you have the mouse?
That looks like our.
Okay, so where's the mouse?
Oh, it's here.
All right. Oh yeah, that's my super old mouse.
The screwless.
This mouse is before most of you were born. So this is
Those are the best mice.
1994 mouse. So were any of you born before 94? No. So this is like, 30 years before you. It's an old mouse. But what we've done here is, and if I can find my mouse pointer, there we are. So instead of just doing terrain colors, we can do things like, I put in a map of Europe. And the idea of a map of Europe is, now when I dig down in layers, I'm digging into the past. Because each layer is a layer of political map. And so just as you saw with the 2, 3, 4, I'm now digging back through layers of history. Right?
Is the Kinect measuring the depth?
And the Kinect, yes, old school Kinect, because you've got to go old school. So we actually had the original 360. This is the Xbox One Kinect, right? But this is just. Yeah, it's the more modern, souped up one. We do have the old one around, and we were using that. But so this is just Kinect, standard data projector, playground stand from Minor 10. Right, literally, it's called playground stand. We didn't go and steal it from the beach like the geology people did. Thieves, I tell you. So the idea is that those layers now become layers of information. Another thing that is layered is MRI scans.
Whoa.
Right, and so the idea is that in an MRI scan, you can dig through and look at the different layers of information, because the scan is in layers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so now I can cut through those layers and look at different features in the brain by looking at how the different amount of bone versus brain tissue, right? And I can build it up and kind of build up and scan through the brain and look for features, right? In the scan, right? Because I'm now scanning up and down. Now what Braden is doing here, so he's doing his honours. I'll hand it over to Braden. So one of the things is, once you've got this whole sand thing going on, and I'm going to need you guys to move back. Once you've got a sand going on and I've got a terrain, right? So this is measuring a terrain. What I can do is take that terrain and send it out to VR and have you being a person standing about that tall, looking at across the sand as your world environment in first person. And then, Braden, you can explain what you do.
Yeah, so the plan for the game is to make it a 2-player asymmetric game where one of you is going to be in the sand, moving it around and placing down towers like those. And the other person will be in VR in first person, traveling between the towers and shooting little bad guys there.
That's so sick. So if I go in here, there's the sand over there. So yeah, the sand is over there. I'll just move myself closer to the sand.
You can even teleport onto one of the towers if you just point at it.
Right, so... Oh, that's the wrong hand. I'll just move it closer so that the person who wants to have a look in what I'm looking at. So I'll just go and stand on the edge of the sand.
You're back.
Right. Okay, so you can go into the dark. But who wants to have a look in the VR? There you go. Jump in there. Now, and there's your hand. Right.
You can put the strap on your head.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we'll do that. That works. Okay. Yep. Now, what she's seeing is she's standing about there on the edge of the sandbox, and it's about that tall. So if I put my hand in here, you can see the hand come in. Can you see that massive hand shape?
Yeah.
Yep. Now you can see on here, you can kind of see the sand being raised up, right? Because it just thinks that it's sand. So so you imagine if it was a sandworm coming up, it would come in and come out of the sand like that. And she can see the sand moving in first person, right? And so the idea is that, and you've got the move there. So, again, old school gamer, what do you need if you need to play stuff? You use a move, because that's great for visual identification of a location. So, the sand, the third person player can change the environment for the VR player and can place the towers down for the tower defense game. And so you have that, I'm in VR, you get the sort of hand of God come in and start changing the world when you're in first person. So, okay, I'll pop you out of there. Did you see the big hands come in?
Yeah.
They're freaky, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right, who else would like to have a look? Come and grab this. Right, so you might just hold it and look around. That way you don't have to worry about straps. But so and we've got a Mario Kart playing. Oh, are you alright?
Right, that's right.
Okay. I didn't put the other things. Where are you? Okay. Oh, there you are. Right, you're driving around way over there. The reason I wasn't here is I was grabbing the the HDMI cable to connect that so it could go up on the big screen, but it needs the USB 3. No, well, I'm just talking to you because you were laughing. But yeah, so I'm going to connect the USB to the big screen so you'll be able to see what she was seeing as she's driving the Mario Kart around. Because the Mario Kart has a little camera, and so it also has an AR augmented reality, which is what this is, because it when it sees things like this markers, it will overlay that with information. It can map out a track. Right. So, do we have any questions for Braden? He is doing 4th year, so he's just done 4 years of what you might do if you came here and studied. So, any questions for Braden? Are you enjoying this project?
Yeah, it's good fun.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
He plays in an actual sandbox, but he also gets to play with VR. So, anyone want to have a look at the VR?
Sure.
Yeah, you go first, and then we. And then what we'll do is, while people queue up to do the VR thing, I'll take the rest of you over to have a look at the AR camera stuff. Right? The AI camera stuff I do. And we've got people playing with that. Be careful of a random Mario Kart on the ground. Backing up.
Ricky, can you see that? Wait, turn it off.
Yep, turn that, come around, say hello to me. Come around. Turn the other way. Yeah.
Which one is
We're turning. We're in there. Hello. See you.
Gaming is not for me. I do nothing, so.
Would any of you like to have your voice closed? Would you like to have your voice closed?
It's very much in-depth thing, so it crashes a lot.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start making voices?
So as part of the course I'm doing, I've got a list of voices. And this one was...
No, I don't actually what I mean. He'll upload this to his YouTube.
This project. We're gonna pass.
Yes, wait.
Oh, I just played with this hand. It's like,
Can I just have you quiet just for 30 seconds?
Yeah, we've done
Well, CC talks at
Oh, look at the gun. Oh,
so what I want you to describe is your morning, like breakfast, how you got here this morning, you know, and
That is very cool.
That's actually crazy.
random.
Can I say?
And you can say anything like just randomly for you. 30 seconds. Okay.
can you also move this?
Okay, the sentence.
Okay, that's very good. 30 seconds. Well done. 30 seconds is a remarkably long time when you just had to ad-lib random stuff to say, right? But at least I gave you something to say. Okay, so what I can do is if I click here saying I have permission, I can then go add voice. And so what this will do is it's now extracting that audio and trying to make a voice clone of CC here. So if I then go to CC and I click on use. Okay. So this was, so I've been to Western Springs recently. So this was the introduction to their college. And if, well, I mean, we can say that, so I can generate. Should. We listen closely, hopefully.
Western Springs College, known to those who teach and learn here as Springs, is an educational environment where students can discover and develop unique personal strengths that allow them to share in the building of a just and sustainable
Which is pretty close to your voice, much closer to your voice than my voice, really.
Yeah.
Now, one of the scarier things I can do is instead of going text to speech, you can see there's this sweet speech to speech, which we called me speaking and use my timing and emphasis, but then say it in your voice. So, for example, I can go. It is very important for CC's family to invest in teaching so that she's not cold in the morning. And that's very important. And so now, I teach. It's me speaking, but hopefully now you'll be able to hear CC say the same thing. But it's not just turned.
It is very important for CC's family to invest.
Oh, that's a bit odd. It's like it's got too much of my voice in it.
And that's very important.
Right, that's an odd. I might have to change the settings. And let's exaggerate the style a bit more. Let's play with some of this. I'll see if I can change it. Oh, I've got the.
It's amazing what it can do with such little source material.
Yes, it's hardly any source material. Let's see if that generates better. Now, what I've got is. So,
it is very important for CC's family to invest in teaching so that she's not.
Doesn't sound like it. That's right.
And that's very important.
So, however, it's a bit closer to you. I also have me as but what that does is when I do in my voices, I then have a number which is CC, which is an ID, which I can copy, and then I can go back to my Python code over here, and way up here where I actually just determine which voice I use. Again, this was cheap, so I was just whacking this together in a minute, so in 48 hours. So when I get to, there it is, that number I replace with your ID. So now when my program sends text to the interface using the API, it will come back trying to use that voice model. Right, so let's play the game. Let's say that, and let's see if I can play in here, run the game. And so what this will do is it will spin up image capture, and 31, so it's so hopefully this will spin up, and just move it down so you can see it. It should pop up a window. And so here I'm having to use like the webcam capture information, and I'm having to use like playing out audio, so I'm using Pygame to do interface stuff, and I'm using GPT-4o Omni for this latest model, so I've got a wee area where I say which model I'm using. It also, I think this will show you a whole bunch of Google Gemini models I have access to, because I was trying it with the Google Vision model as well as the ChatGPT-4 model. So hopefully that starts up at any time. Come on. Live demos are always a bit worrying. Just like it, right? You guys recognize? You can see this is, oh there it is. Popped up as soon as it's not contained Sunshine. There we go. So if I turn on ChatGPT and I turn on 11 Labs, so what we can do is we can have this image, and I press space and it's going to count down 3, 2, 1, take that image, and it's now sent that image to, so there's all the Google Gemini model.
ChatGPT says, in this lively image, a man with long white hair waves enthusiastically at the camera. Behind him, 3 smiling people stand in a classroom, with one person cheerfully giving a peace sign. The atmosphere is one of fun and camaraderie.
Right? So so this game I made was, can you make it laugh, right? Because it doesn't think that's funny, right? But but the instruction is, if you find it funny, return laugh, and if it returns laugh, you get the win thing, right? It laughs out loud, right? So the goal of the game was to make the computer laugh, because the Global Game Jam theme this year was make me laugh. And I thought, oh, can I make a computer laugh? So I treated me as the AI, right? So, and that was using somewhat closer to your voice than my voice, right? I have a model of me, it could speak it in my voice, but then you guys are hearing me, so that does make a lot of sense. So yeah, so that's another thing we've done in the AI space. So, what would people like? We've got another 15 minutes, because you guys have more time, because the other team, yeah. Someone picked it up. There it is. Okay, right, everyone can grab a seat. That's so funny. Right.
Feeling good. Like actually.
So, as you can see, I was trying to basically give you a whole bunch of different things to try and do, right? And you can see that a lot of what we do is around, in games, yes, you're allowed. There you go. So a lot of what I do is I teach game development. I also teach a bunch of AI stuff because my PhD is in AI, so that's kind of why I do a bunch of this AI fun stuff. But I make games out of it. Now, in games, we look at things like self-determination theory, which is an agency, competence, and relatedness idea that people are motivated by filling up their well of agency, right? And competence, so you're good at things that are challenging, and relatedness, where the things you do matter to your community or the people you care about, right? Now, in school, we tend to focus on just competence, right? Because you're supposed to be motivated by grades, right? Get high grades, get more competence signal, and that's all good. You tend not to have a lot of agency and choice. And also, sometimes what you're doing doesn't really seem to matter that much, right? Because I know my kids keep asking their teachers, but when will I use this in the real world? Have you ever thought that about any of your classes? Probably. that would suggest that it's got low relatedness, right? It doesn't relate to the world. So part of what I try and do in my own teaching is not only teach about why games are engaging, because in games, you get to make lots of choices, lots of agency, right? You are in charge, you are making big decisions. You get lots of feedback that you're good at stuff because there are rewards and points and badges and bonuses and all that. And there are leaderboards and you have other people playing the same game as you that you're friends with, and so you build a community around being good at the game, right? And some people, when they play things like football, they go out and, you know, part of the reason to go out and play soccer is to hang out with your friends because you like the people you play soccer with, right? So it's a social activity that's related. In my teaching and what I try and have happen in my courses is I try and motivate you in the way games do, right? That's why I give you choices, right? Because I want you as students to feel in charge of what you're doing. We also try and make the games related to the rest of the world. So for example, the game jams, where you're working with hundreds of people around the world, is to show you there's a community of people that care about what you're doing and will give you feedback about it, right? So this is me applying what I teach, my game development approach, to the teaching itself, right? I try and gamify what I teach. And I've in terms of gamification, when people talk about gamifying education, you heard of gamifying stuff? Gamification? Education, the stuff you guys are doing, is already a game, right? It's a game based on a fun activity called learning, and then society decided to create a whole bunch of rules around learning to try and make you learn the things we wanted you to learn, right? And so those rules are the game. The fun core activity is the learning. So a bit like football, playing with a ball is just fun. But when you make soccer, you add a whole bunch of rules on top of playing with a ball. And so education is already a game of learning. The problem is it's a bad game, right? It's easy to make things a game, it's really hard to make them good games. So as part of what I do when I teach, is I don't just teach you like how to make a game, right? We try and teach you how to make good games. For a lot of games, we also define the difference between a hygiene factor and a quality factor. So do any of you have an idea of what a hygiene factor might refer to? What do you think that's an analogy for? Any thoughts? Hygiene factor? Might you go to, what would you think a hygiene factor at a restaurant would be? Whether the food's hygienic, right? So if it makes you vomitously sick, doesn't matter how good it tasted, because it was bad because you got salmonella, right? So a hygiene factor makes things worse, but just because it's clean doesn't make the meal a tasty meal, right? It's not quality, it's just hygiene. So a lot of game stuff like bugs, slow response, laggy, those are all hygiene things, right? A lot of the stuff we do as programmers are to keep the game hygienic in the sense that it is run smoothly, and when we didn't want something to happen, it actually happens. When you press the button, the thing that's supposed to fire fires right now, right? These don't make a good game. They just stop it from being a shit game, right? So it's about, a lot of programming is about removing the shit from bad games, and then you expose the real design of the game, right? And that's why we work with designers. So the designers can focus on trying to make a good game, and we also have to help. And part of our job is to make sure that it doesn't break and it doesn't fall apart, and it actually achieves what it's on the project, right? So that's part of why we work in teams, and we use these theories on what motivates people to try and make the learning engaging. Now, one of the other problems with these is, and you might have noticed this, agency, coercion. If people if you want to have control of stuff, if people are coercing you, you lose all of your agency, right? Your decisions don't feel like they're meaningful. Have you ever heard of imposter syndrome? Some of you would have been introduced to this idea. If you want to feel good at something, unfortunately, there's this thing called imposter syndrome. It's basically a hole in the bottom of your bucket of feeling good about yourself, right? And it doesn't matter how many compliments people give you, it just all falls out the bottom because you don't believe that you're worth it and that you're good enough at this thing, and that they're kind of lying, or they don't really understand that you're not good enough. And so all the compliments just fall away and you don't accept them, right? And so that actually drives people really hard, right? And you find that people with strong imposter syndrome in their 30s often have burnout because they've never felt good enough. And so nothing they do satisfies them, and they just work and work and work and work to try and get that, but they never fix the hole in the bottom of the bucket, right? So identifying that actually you guys are good at stuff is really important in keeping the motivation going, right? It's finding that balance and not driving yourself to destruction. Othering is the hole in the bottom of relatedness, and some curiosity, just saying, oh, just ignore it, don't ask questions, just do it because there's no good reason, just do it. And creativity, I've had various things put in here by students. Grades is the nicest of those. Grades tend to kill creativity, right? When you're grading to a curve, you're grading people and say you must be creative now and at this level, that doesn't help creativity, right? So we actually have to find interesting ways to create an environment for creativity without destroying that motivation. So a lot of what I do is trying to find how do I do this. In collectivist cultures, these all link together. So this is one of the challenges for things like in Norway where I'm teaching. You have to motivate every part of the system. You can't just motivate on grades, you've also got to give people choices that they're involved in and also make it relevant, right? Or else you don't motivate collectivist culture. And the last thing, and I've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to leave you with this challenge, okay? So, do you all know noughts and crosses, tic-tac-toe?
Yeah.
Yep? Okay. That game is mechanically completely equivalent to a card drafting game. Do you know what a card drafting game is? You've not heard of card drafting? So card drafting games are where I put 9 cards on the table, and then you and me take turns. You pick a card, and I pick a card, and then you pick a card, and I pick a card. And we have to be able to, out of the cards we have in our hand, get to 15. Right, so if you were to pick the first card, what card would you pick? Trying to get to 15.
I guess it's 5.
You pick 5, okay? So now your name is?
Maddie.
Maddie. So Maddie picked 5. So if I pick 4, right? So now I've got 4, Maddie's got a 5. Maddie has to try and pick 2 cards that will get her, or pick another card that will get her to 15. So you pick
7.
Pick 7, right? So I know she's going to go for the 3, right? Because that will get her to 15. So I've got 4, I'll now pick up 3, which means I've got 7, right? And Maddie has her 5 and her 4, so you've got 5 and your 7, so you've got 12. Right, so you can't get the 3 because I've got that 12. Right, so then you'd have to pick another card. So, my challenge to you is draw that as a TikTok 3x3, not TikTok, as a tic-tac-toe 3x3, and place the numbers so that you can show that is identical. Okay, I'll give you a hint. 5 is in the middle. Right? So when you go away, think about, is that an identical game? Can you show it's an identical game? And once you've thought about that, how does changing it from drawing on a square to picking up cards change the way you think about the game? Right? Because what I want you to do is when you go away from today, I want you to think about the games that you play, how they cycle around to create interesting choices, and what are the motivations they're using? What agency are they giving you? What competence feedback are they giving you? How does that relate to other communities you're in? And being good at the game matter outside of the game itself? And think, can you draw that and get the numbers right so you can show that is equivalent to... Okay, any questions before I let you all go to lunch? I think we're at lunchtime, yes? Yep, because it was 12 that I hit to.
Yeah.
No, 12, no, 11:45. I think it was 11 to 11:45.
It's too close.
Hmm? Oh, do I get them till 12? I thought it was till 11:45.
No, you can get this one.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so the first group I basically had half hour, and this group I've got a full hour. Right, okay, so 15 minutes of questions. Or I can just let you guys go early so you can be the first in line for lunch.
That's a great idea.
But was that interesting? Does that make sense? You can see sort of been doing, you recognize some of the Python code here? Cool, okay, well, thank you very much. Have a good lunch. And full game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. I'm operating at a 45-minute long time.
Yeah, okay, I'll see you at home. Have fun.
Thanks for waiting, everybody.
Well, we have used PowerPoint before once or twice, so but first, welcome. Thank you for coming along. We're good to have you all here, which is awesome. And would like to just say thank you for coming to our cybersecurity session for the engineering day. So I know this is the last session of the day, so you might be feeling a bit tired. So we'll try and focus on the actual practical activity side. That's all as possible. So today's agenda is we won't get through all of this, and our experience with as far as block picking so far, we're a little. If we had 3 hours, maybe we would, but that would be a long time for really. So, first of all, just introduction to us. So, I'm Ian Welch. I'm an associate professor here, and I teach on the cybersecurity course. So, we have 8 courses that are specialized in cybersecurity. I've been teaching cybersecurity for 20 years now, quite a long time. It used to be one course and now we have many. We also have active research group. So one of the nice things in New Zealand is that we actually do cybersecurity research here. It's not all done just overseas. It's a really good aspect. And that brings me on to my two colleagues.
Oh, thank you very much, Ian. Myself, Abasi. So I used to be a cop, then I started as an academic in the university. Ended up here doing PhD under Ian's supervision. Then I started a job as a software engineer for cybersecurity here. That's myself. Passing it to Abdullah.
Hi, this is Abdullah. I did my undergrad in electrical and electronic engineering, and then I moved to information technology and in cybersecurity. And I'm doing my PhD under Ian again. I'm also doing a part-time job as cybersecurity analyst, where I protect good people from bad people. That's me.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. So, what we're going to talk about today, big focus for this session is lockpicking. So, lockpicking is the art of we've got locks over there, which you'll be playing with soon. And the idea is that you don't have the key, but you want to actually access whatever's been protected using that lock, which is a lot of what cybersecurity is about, actually. I've asked a few people this, maybe it's from my age, but does anybody play any games where there's lockpicking involved? Yeah? Anybody else? Cool. What are the games that you've played? Now I'm putting everybody on the spot. Yeah. Any particular one, or in general? And you sort of go through and you pick a lock and play with stuff. That's kind of cool. And what games have you played?
Like Oblivion.
Oblivion. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, cool. I played Fallout, so yeah, that's the thing. But it used to be a large metric, a large sort of mechanic in games. A little less now, but you may have seen lockpicking on TV or in movies. So, for instance, television series. So this is a television series from a number of years back, but it's still relevant, where there's a detective and her psychic, and they have to get entry to a house to investigate something, but they don't have the key.
Violet? Violet Young?
I think somebody on my conspiracy website would mention that. I'll be Violet's phone. You sure this is the pit?
It was not okay. It was actually completely legal.
Hello?
Cool. So that's television, obviously, but it's based on some facts. And one of the things we wanted to check first was whether we're going to be teaching you something that's completely illegal, because that would be not a good thing, I think. The schools might have an issue with that, potentially. You don't want to go to prison, all these sorts of negative things that can happen as a result of doing that. So that's our first test. We're going to check this information out. So, go next slide. Sorry. Cool. So, machines that are in front of you, you can, if they're not logged in, you can log in using the login ECS guest and password ENGR at ECS, and it'll bring up a browser. It'll bring up a page which probably won't make any sense, but you can change it to go to Google. And I'd like you to check out whether in fact they were right in this TV show, which is set in New York, that the detective was doing something illegal that she should not be doing. So that will be the first step. So Google's your friend. I can imagine that some of the search terms you might use to find information about that? Anybody? Lockpicking is a good one. Yep. And any other? Anybody out there? Legal, maybe? But how about it? That's cool. And the other thing is, check out what the law is in New Zealand. And one bonus thing is, what is the law in Japan? Might sound a little bit random, but you'll see why in a minute. So talk amongst yourselves. It's cool. It's a group effort type thing. And see what you find out. And we'll come back together again in about 5 minutes. Cool. Thanks.
They started from engineer.
Maybe sorry about that. Otherwise, but it's good here. Is that one? Oh, so where have you found what particular in Japan? Is it the act of tracking or is it something else? Yeah. And in New Zealand,
Okay, but like,
so yeah.
picking tools,
And,
you just cut like a bit out of it.
So that's part of it. It's like intent for That's it. So you're okay to hear about what we're fine for this. You're not doing it to Google anywhere or anything like that. Yeah. Assigning
Yes.
Any insight from what you think so far?
So would you put
Yeah, really. Alright. Cool, I might bring it back together. Okay, so the most figurative had a chance to play it out now. So, okay. Cool. Oh, do you need I'm getting in? Try, you need to log in. Is the machine working at all or is it just this machine. Sorry. This is a great opportunity to pair up. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Sorry about that. Some of the machines are a little bit unhappy at the moment. So, first of all, does anybody want to say, was Kate Becker doing something illegal? And she was. And yep. Why was she? What was illegal about it? Why was it illegal? She didn't have permission. So, sort of her intent might have been, could be construed as malicious. I'm not a lawyer by any means, so don't rely on my legal reading. But I think it's probably safe to say that she shouldn't have been doing it. Sorry. Is there a circumstance in which her doing lockpicking would have been okay? Yeah, if she had the permission, yeah, that's cool. So again, the intent fits in there as well. And the other thing, which is related to that, is the possession itself. So yeah, she wasn't authorized, feels kind of illegal. It seems to vary state by state, but they're all pretty much the same. You're allowed to possess something, lockpick set, if you don't intend to do something bad with it, basically. No, it's like commit trespass or burglary or things like that. So that comes into it there. Japan, it's completely illegal to have possession of a lockpick tools. So there were some students who were going to Japan. I don't know if there's any in this class. Don't take lockpick tools with you. It's a year imprisonment or 500,000 yen. So just a tip there. It's kind of interesting. I'll come back to that in a minute. In New Zealand, it's not illegal. It's very similar to the US. It's all around the intent. So if you if somebody stops you, a police officer or something like that, and they think you have intent to burglarize, then you may be up for charges related to the penalty of 3 years in prison and stuff, which is a good one. So what you're doing today is fine. That's all good. You actually, we are giving you permission to hack these locks and things like that. So that's kind of cool. Now, two things that are interesting about this, I think. The first is that the fact that it was illegal in Japan. This actually reflects a historic things in the sense that in the 19th century, in a number of countries, lockpicking was completely illegal. You weren't allowed to own books on the subject, for instance. They were banned. And it was tightly controlled. Although everybody was doing it, of course, which is just like hacking, actually. Over time, people adjusted their way of looking at it, and part of that is actually seeing that lockpicking could actually help improve security. By saying that if people were doing it as a sport, for instance, they could actually be given locks to test them out, and then those locks could be improved by identifying the flaws in them, which is kind of cool. So there are competitions all around the world called lock sports events, including New Zealand, and often at hacker events as well. Now, how does it relate to cybersecurity? It relates to these folk. So So we have our white, grey and black hats. The black hat is kind of the easy one in a sense. They're the ones who have got malicious intent, and it might be they want to steal your money, they want to deface your website, they want to change it to some political message, or they want to take down a power grid or something like that. Or maybe they just like having fun in their view, but not fun in the victim sense at all. So there's black hats, and of course that's going to be criminal. Then we have our white hat over here, who's actually employed to test the vulnerability system. Basically, penetration testers, they get hired and they're told, just you go and attack the system. Now it's scoped, there's some things you can't touch and you can touch. That's perfectly fine. The intent is fine there, so intent comes into it. And then in the middle we have the grey hat, which is kind of where it's a little bit different from the locks. So the grey hats, they're wanting to do good. They're like hacktivists, they want to improve the security of Windows, for instance, so they might hack Windows, or they might hack a website, which they think isn't secured well enough. And because of that, it's a danger to people. Like maybe their health records are exposed or stuff like that. So they have good intent, but the problem is, into a minute, is that when they carry this out, they may cause damage. And that means that they do become liable for a criminal prosecution, which makes it slightly different from the laws. Slightly changed around here. So this is all because of the Crimes Act. And the Crimes Act basically says that if you do something that's, even if it's not intentional, but it's reckless, then you can fall foul of the law. So just be careful of it. So we often raise this for our cybersecurity students right in the first lecture, because we're teaching people how to hack. That's one of the key things, so they can defend for good. But it's also easy to get carried away and think, oh, that would be really cool to do. So we have 3 rules that kind of apply to our lock picking as well, which is rule 1, ask permission or hack your own system. So people build their own labs at home and stuff like that, because it's my own system. I let myself hack it. Number 2, just because you know how to do something doesn't mean you should do it. And that's really important here, because that's not today, but where we do cyber attacks. And then number 3, which relates to the recklessness, is that even if you didn't need to do anything bad, something bad may happen, and then that's useful. So after all the warnings, that's kind of like one of those labels, like, you know, don't try this at home type stuff. We're going to move on and to the actual practical side of things. So this short video here talks about basically how to pick a lock. So it's the same kind of lock as we have over there next to Abdullah, which are see-through locks. We also have covers available for them. So what we usually suggest is start out with the see-through lock. It's a lot easier to actually hit. And then when you're confident with that, move on to the one where you can actually see all the parts. So I'll play this now. It's about 4 minutes long, and it gives you everything you need to know. And when you actually try, it will come around. Find my mouse again.
And to help you see what's going on, we're going to use this clear transparent padlock. If we push the key into the lock mechanism, you can see how the profile of the key lifts all 6 pins into alignment, allowing the cylinder to be turned and the lock to be opened. If I show you again from the other side, when I rotate the cylinder, you can see all 6 of the bottom key pins, which need to be raised to exactly the right point to lift the upper pins above the shear point to allow the cylinder to turn. As I remove the key, the springs push the upper pins back into the cylinder and lock it into position, stopping it from turning. To open the padlock without a key, I bought a set of these lock picks. The set comes with a whole host of different picks to try and master, and also a number of these tension tools. These all look very similar, but actually have very slight differences in size or shape. To pick the lock, the idea is to insert one of these tension tools into the bottom of the lock here and apply a small amount of tension or torsion to the cylinder. You need to do this with one hand while holding the lock as well. Then take a lockpick and we need to try and lift each pin so that the upper pin is above the shear line. Maintaining a small amount of torsion on the cylinder will stop the pins from falling back down. You need to also be careful not to lift the lower pins above the shear line, as this will also prevent the cylinder from being able to turn. When they're all set at the correct height, you should be able to feel the resistance on the torsion tool diminish, and now you're able to turn the cylinder and open the shackle. Pretty cool, huh? I'll show you again. It does take quite a bit of practice, but you really get a feel for what's going on, and it is possible to pick the lock quite quickly. If I show you the other side of the lock as I twist the cylinder, again you can see all 6 of the lower pins, and if I run the pick underneath them, you can see them moving up and down. When I line the cylinder back up, the top pins drop back and lock in place. It's a really good, fun puzzle to try and crack. You can try out different picks and see which one works best for you. But of course, using a transparent lock is cheating a bit. So get yourself a real padlock and see how you get on. When you do eventually crack it, it's really satisfying. You can try lifting individual pins at a time, or try using a rake like this to rake the lock. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you want to see more of my lock-related videos...
Oh, sorry. You can subscribe later, that's cool. So, we don't have the other kind of lock, but we do have this cover here, which will make it harder, which will add the difficulty to it. And then we also have another set of locks, which you can try if you've mastered this as well. The other thing that we're just going to try, which we tried in the last one, which is a competition. We're going to have a competition which has prizes over there. There's a number of prizes which we will reward. The way that we'll work it is that we'll announce it towards later. But first, we'll get you into that. Okay. So we're going to hand out locks. Ask that you work in pairs, for the best way, and we're giving out locks and lock picks as well. Cool.
Like a dog. Yeah. It's not touchy.
I don't want to use it for real
Change it.
Who won the last two? The last two.
Last two. I was
Who won the? Yeah. How long? There were 2 people.
Check with the blue shirts. Yeah.
No. That guy.
Yeah. I got yes. You were. Yeah. This is easy. So and congratulations. Thanks everybody taking part. Appreciate your good sports. Okay, so we've got 15 minutes left. So, one of the reasons we talk about lockpicking is it has a lot of similarities to cybersecurity. And I've got a whole heap of slides here which I'd like to show you. I'll just summarize them now and we'll move on to the next thing.
So the relationship is that it's looking for vulnerabilities to be exploited. People learn to lockpick and they can use it for bad purposes or good, which is just the same as cybersecurity. You understand how to attack, so it'll defend. The other aspect of it is that the work of people doing these competitions and cybersecurity competitions actually improve security for everybody. And then the other aspect is that if you like puzzles, if you like this kind of puzzle, this is a really good match for doing cybersecurity because it requires patience, it requires starting to understand how the mechanisms work, and then it's applying those to do something. Now, and there are plenty of jobs in this area. The thing I would like to just show you, I have a taste of, is the other big aspect of cybersecurity, which again is not directly related to computers, it's actually related to people. So social engineering. Has anybody heard of this phrase, social engineering? Cool, yeah. So do you have a sort of, in what context have you heard of it?
Just in terms of like how to hack, basically.
Okay, how to hack people, I guess, yeah, that kind of thing. And is that similar or?
Yeah, I saw this guy online talking about how to social engineer.
Yeah, it's a whole art, basically. So, yeah. So it's been around a long time, social engineering, as long as people have been around. There's the phrase called con man or the confidence scripter, and it actually comes from this dude, William Thompson, 1840s, who used to steal people's watches. And the way you steal people's watches, it'd say, oh, I'm a man of substance, I have a nice coat on and stuff like that. I'm sure you'd be willing to lend me your pocket watch for the day. And people would fall for it, and give him his pocket watch, and they'd go off and sell it, basically. So that was a cause célèbre back in the 1850s. Now nowadays, it's the basis of a lot of cybersecurity hacks and also training people to not be hacked by it as well. So what I've got is a little video and we can talk about it afterwards. And this is a modern version of this confidence trick.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEFCON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. You just use a phone and internet connection.
You want to do a sample of phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation, and basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it. Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm gonna log into our account for usage information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. Maybe fine and awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
At gmail.com?
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
If I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry, so there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. Alright, thank you.
Holy shit. So they just gave you access to my entire cell phone account.
You're gonna have to go on and change your password now because it's Jess. My name.
And all it took was a crying baby and a phone call.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a really great example, I think, of social engineering done by a professional. So she will be doing that as kind of penetration testing and stuff like that. And it's the kind of thing that scammers use to convince people to transfer money into their account and all this kind of stuff. So it's a big concern for cybersecurity to try and prevent this stuff. Let's just talk through these things here. Like, how bad is it if I lose control of my phone account? Are there any implications that you could think of Jess having access to my personal data?
You can get your personal information through texts.
If I get your personal information to text, and then you can actually use it to do other things. So, for instance, I could potentially leverage the information to take out a loan in Abasi's name, for instance. I get the money, he gets the debt. Win-win. Well, not win-win actually, win-lose, which is terrible. So that's one of the issues. The other thing is that we use our phones often as an additional method to protect things like bank accounts. So when you log into a bank account, you might get a text to your phone, you enter the number you received into the computer to prove that you are who you are. Now, if you have access to the account, you might be able to generate a new SIM card that has the victim's number on it and then be able to impersonate that. She used a number of techniques here to get what she wanted, which is the whole point of social engineering, to manipulate people into doing things that aren't in their best interest. So one of them is the baby cry. How do you think that helped her attack? Cool.
It created a basis for the person on the other end to apply sympathy to the situation.
So sympathy was part of it, yeah. And does anybody have any other ideas on that kind of front, on what the effect on somebody of hearing a crying baby is? Quite visceral. Have you ever been like, it's easy to concentrate when you've been around? Yeah. It's not easy to concentrate. There's been studies, and our decision making is actually affected because we're trying to care for the baby. That's an instinctual response of most people overall. So she used that to make it harder for the person she was talking to follow the script, to follow the rules that are used to check that she is who she really claims to be, which is kind of cool. She got sympathy. What other aspects of her story kind of would have engendered sympathy, would have helped build that? So maybe sorry, at this table or over this way, right up before folks to the left side there. Will she mention anybody else in her phone call that you might have? Yep. Her husband. And does her husband sound great? Yeah. What was he getting her to do? What was the sort of story that she was telling there? There. She had this phrase, which was, I've got a baby and it's crying and I'm under stress and stuff like that, and my husband really wants this done today. And then there was also a building up of kind of a background, which was like her husband hadn't added it to the account, there's a lot of pressure. So again, that's about sympathy, and it's about understanding human emotions and how you might abuse them really in order to carry out this type of social engineering. There was another thing that was in there, which was that as one of the checks they used was that they checked the name of the guy's wife or girlfriend, and Jess was able to provide that. Do you think that would be easy or hard to get, to find out the name of somebody's partner? Yeah.
Easy if you post on social media?
Yes. So that's the whole thing on social media and what you post up there. Exactly. So they do this thing called open source intelligence, and they stalk people and they find out information about them and use it against them. So to counter this, it's often around training, and it's about giving people space in order to make decisions in a way that they do it in a considered way, not under pressure as well. So it's a really, really big area. And one of our colleagues, Lisa Patterson, her research area is exactly this kind of thing, and how to make it easier for people to be more secure on an everyday basis. Cool. So, yes, can you get a job doing this? So I've talked about penetration testing as one of the jobs here that you can do, and that's where you might use techniques like this, plus technical techniques to break into a system. There's another part which relates to preventing this, which is called governance. It's got a really, the table's called GRC, governance, risk management, and compliance. And it might sound kind of dry, but it's how you come as an organization, work out what their risks are, and then prioritize them, because you've only got so much money to try and prevent these sorts of attacks. So you need to say, this is the highest risk, I'll spend the most money here. And it's a huge area, 40% of jobs in that area. Penetration testing jobs. What are some other jobs that are out there? So I think Abdullah mentioned one before, but you're doing. Would you like to just mention what that is?
So I'm doing a blue team. So blue team kind of who are responsible for defending side. Red team is opposite, who is actually attacking your system. I'm on the defending side, so basically we are protecting the system whenever some hackers or bad people attack into the system. Sometimes with the phishing, social engineering, and some other technique, we are responsible for protecting them. Like we are getting the alert, we are analyzing the alert, and just keeping the system protected. So that is one of the roles, which is the analyst role. Yeah,
that's good. Thank you. The other roles that come up as well are called DFIR. So the one is digital forensics, which is police employ these people, but also commercially. And the idea is that maybe there's been a crime and my laptop, I'm the criminal and my laptop is taken. And so somebody has to analyze the data on there to find out if it supports the allegation against the person. So that's digital forensics. We work with the police generally for that. It's also used for civil cases. So say I stole some copyrighted information, we'll be doing that. And then there's a whole other area called it's called electronic discovery, which is all about finding where proprietary data, like IP stuff, like contracts, things like that, where that data is actually stored. Because what happens in large computer systems is that you get lots of copies of the data everywhere, and it's hard to control it. So this is about doing that. And these are all the kind of jobs that we basically train people to do. We give them a solid base that they could go up to industry and specialize in these sorts of areas. So the way that you can do that, last slide. So it's be honest. That's one we suggest first of all, because that's a 4-year professional degree. One of the big things about it is it helps you become a professional. Communication, writing, all these sorts of stuff that are really valued by industry as much as technical skills, really. I mean, technical skills are important too. The other aspect is that it gives access to our advanced courses, which is investigating malware, so viruses, stopping it, pulling it apart, relates to Bussey's research area, ransomware. Offensive defensive security is this blue team, red team we just talked about here. You get to try that out. And then cybercrime investigation, which is digital forensics. And then you get to do an individual project, which focuses on one area of course. The VE is a very structured degree. In contrast, you may want to do cybersecurity courses if you're interested in it, under the VE comp, which is more flexible. So say you want to do psychology and you want to do science or cybersecurity. This is a really good way to combine them together, in fact, for international relations. It's less years as well, but what we suggest usually is that people look at enrolling in the VE first of all, because it's a standard year, and then they can make a decision as to whether they want to stay in engineering or move into a different area. And that's the other thing I just want to emphasize is that when you come to university, whether it's our area or elsewhere, you have quite a lot of flexibility to change your mind about what you want to do, and that's really important. And a lot of people do. It's obviously with the cost of it, that's a big issue, but nonetheless, the university is here to, that the first trimester is about finding your feet, finding out what you really want to do, and making a decision. And you can change generally at that point very easily. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to actually wrap up there a little bit early, but I'm sure that everybody's thinking about it's the end of the day. It's been really nice to have you come in and have a go at this stuff, and we appreciate your good sports and taking part in the competition, and we hope that the rest of the day is great for you. If anybody has any questions, welcome to come and talk to us at the end, but otherwise, here we go. Thank you. Cool. Oh yeah, well, no, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Everyone, please run first for our facility.
Oh, thank
Amazing. And I know for a lot of people that was so much fun with us and we'll work with your campus. But yes, moving back to our home base now then.
And how many requests that you leave the locks and things?
Oh yes, I forgot. Please leave the locks behind.
Yes.
Thanks.
Chắc là cái gì?
Nice.
Team Prison Break, anh để We got it, bro. Just let me do one last time. One last.
Try with this one. Be a challenge. Hello. What are you about? Everything. This guy went out. I'm ready to break into someone's house right now. Hey, I'm a competent man. Where we get it? Don't use your key. I'm on. Yeah.